Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Doe Show. This is Joyce Day, your host, and I'm here today with Deanna Nichols from the Washington, D.C. area. Deanna, can you say hello?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
I am so glad you're here, and I am so excited for us to have this talk. I've been thinking a lot about it ever since I found one of Deanna's videos on YouTube about her journey and about finding builders and how this has become so important to her. And so I reached out on Facebook because I just had to hear more. The video was not enough. I needed more. So I thought I'd bring Deanna on here to our Doe Show and bring her new doTERRA superpower out for all of us to learn from. So Deanna, thanks so much for being here with me.
Of course. I'm always happy to help people learn from things that I'm either good at or that I was inherently bad at that I've worked really hard to overcome. And I feel like this probably falls into that second category.
I love it. I love it. Well, if you were bad at it and you get good at it, then you have tremendous value, right? Because sometimes if we're good at something, we don't know how to teach other people how to get better at it. We're just naturally good at it. So I think that's really cool. I'm so excited. So tell us a little bit about your doTERRA story. How long have you been with doTERRA, and what's your rank? And just tell us a little bit more about how you got going.
Cool. Yeah, so I was introduced to the products in the fall of 2011 when a friend who lived about 1,000 miles away offered to share a sample with me for some digestive discomfort I was having. And I had been struggling with my health for about 20 years. And I felt like I had searched the ends of the earth for solutions. So I didn't have a lot of hope that it would work for me, but I accepted her kind offer. And I had such an amazing experience with the samples that she sent me that I immediately called her and said, how do I get more of these oils in my life? And of course, she helped set up my membership. And over the course of about 18 months, I was able to completely turn my health around for the first time in my adult life. And I had such an amazing, recovery, I guess you could call it, an amazing experience with the products that people were asking me constantly, what in the world are you doing? Can you come help us? And so I really had no idea about the business at all. I wasn't interested in it. I just was super passionate about the products. So my husband and I were full-time RVers at the time. And whenever like a family member or a good friend was like, hey, can you come tell us your story? Because I used to be in a wheelchair and I was disabled at the age of 28. We had 15 years of infertility and we were pregnant with our son now. And I had lost like 110 pounds. So, it was this big transformation and people were just like, what is happening? So we would just get in our RV and we'd drive to wherever they were and we'd tell our story and we'd help people do the same thing we did, which was just, get your doTERRA kit and your membership. That was all it was to me. And I didn't realize until right around the time that we were gold, which was just a couple months, and that, hey, there might be like a business thingy going on here. So my husband headed out to Utah and met with the owners, and he was so impressed with them that he came back and said, Deanna, we have to do this. We just have to seriously do this. And so we did our first class in February 29th, I believe it was Leap Day of 2013, and by New Year's Eve, we were diamonds. And we continue to grow from there. It has been an amazing journey, but I'll tell you, I had some problems and hangups about the business side, about builders, and that word really creeped me out. And so that was really a struggle. That it's amazing how far you can get and still have a hangup, but at some point it was like I had to address it. It became the thing that I knew I was going to have to overcome to move on to the next point.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is incredible. So you got to diamond rank in about 2 years-ish. And at that
10 months.
10 months. Oh, okay. From February 2008.
Oh, from building. Yeah, from building. Yeah.
Okay. And then you were, and at that point, you really weren't super comfortable with the business building and like really recruiting for the business and that sort of thing, really just sharing oils.
No.
Yeah.
Not only was I not comfortable, I actually was not doing it, and I was trying to prevent people from doing it. This wasn't conscious, I don't think. I wasn't like, but if I had somebody in my upline that wanted to speak on one of my team calls, I would tell them that they weren't allowed to use certain words, like that would give away the fact that we did network marketing. I was afraid of the industry I was in, And I never asked anybody, did they want to do the business? Ever, ever, ever. I instead was just stacking people under people who happened to be in that spot.
Okay.
And I was enrolling a ton of people and hosting, getting a lot of class hosts and whatnot. And I just didn't know what that was going to look like 5 years down the road. I didn't have the foresight. And I really had a big block about the business until I talked to Andy Goddard one day. And he helped me to see that I was actually hurting other people with my hang up. And that was when, for me, it was like time to take some action. When he said to me that, he said I was surrounded by starving people and I had a cookie in my pocket and I would occasionally throw a few crumbs out to the starving crowd around me, and that I wasn't giving them what they needed and giving them the answer, giving them the solution. And that broke my heart because that's not who I am. But I realized he was right and that I needed to figure out what was my block and then fix it.
So how did you go about doing that? How did you figure out what your block was?
Honestly, my upline presidential gave us this exercise to do where we were doing tapping. And I had done a little tapping before, like to help me reprogram like some negative thought patterns, but I had never done this exercise where you say the opposite and you tap your forehead to try to get the answer of why you're blocked. And so I wanted to know why I wasn't presidential diamond. Like, it was frustrating to me to see my contemporaries, the people that were started to build around the same time as me. It was frustrating to see them move on to presidential and me to be, quote, stuck at blue. And I couldn't, and I wanted to know why. So that was what made me look at it. And I asked myself, why am I presidential diamond? And I tapped that and I got, I don't know what I'm doing, was the answer I got. And I thought, how ridiculous is that? Of course I know what I'm doing. Why do you think I'm here? But the more I would go deep into that, it finally helped me to figure out that because I didn't have a clear plan for what to do with people when they said they wanted to do the business, I wasn't asking. And the reason I didn't have a clear plan is I didn't know how to duplicate what I had done. It was such a frenzy of just crazy, amazing passion and momentum that I didn't know how to duplicate it. And so, and also, I don't think it was super attractive. I don't think how I built was super attractive to people. I don't think they wanted to be crazy and, drive around in an RV. So I had to figure out how to have a plan that worked, that was simple, that was duplicatable, and then how to teach that in a way that people could pick it up and then do it and teach it themselves. That was what I made last year kind of all about.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's incredible. So you reach this turning point, you realize you don't have a clear plan, you figure out what your block is, and then you realize, okay, I got to simplify things, you got to duplicate. And I totally can relate. I built, I wanted to quit my corporate job. And so I built and I had no idea what I was doing from a business standpoint. I'm a science background. I'd never done sales before. And it was like, throw everything at the wall and whatever sticks, it doesn't matter, just keep moving forward. And I remember this was even just 2 years ago. I've been with doTERRA about 5 years now building. And 2 years ago, a good friend of mine who was fantastic, great personality, really could be phenomenal at this, and had kind of gotten going with sharing and stuff, had enrolled some people. And she called me one day and I was traveling all the way to Southern Illinois. I'd gotten up at 4 a.m. I went down there, taught an aroma touch class, left that class at 4 p.m, drove 2 hours to another private class for one of the people on my team to teach for her, and then was driving. And I had stopped to take like a 30-minute power nap at a parking lot in a park somewhere in the middle of the state in the middle of the day. And I told her my plan for the day, and I wasn't going to get home until like 11:30 midnight from teaching this class and then going home. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm going out on a date night with my husband. She's like, Joyce, I got to tell you, honey, I don't think I want to do what you do. This just doesn't sound fun at all. You're going at 4 a.m. So that was the beginning of that turning point for me of realizing I make it look a lot harder than I think it needs to be, because I didn't really know what I was doing either, going for it. So, so I'm really curious then, you needed to come up with a plan. So what did that look like for you?
For me, the first thing was that I needed to understand, I needed to be able to communicate to people why they wanted to do network marketing in the first place. I had to make sure they understood that. I had to make sure they knew why they wanted to do it with doTERRA, and I had to make sure they knew why they wanted to do it with me. And so I had to just get really comfortable with having that conversation. And I feel like anybody who's doing this business at any level should know how to have that conversation at any given time. And I feel like the other thing is that how I did my business and how I taught my entire team was that, you know, you would find builders in the course of building your business. You just kind of like trip and fall over them and they would just show up. And I would hear people say, find builders, find builders. And I'm like, are they lost? Like, why do we need to find them? You know, but I understand what they're trying to say is, you know, here's a concept. You might want to intentionally approach a person and ask them to do this with you, be your business partner. I had never, ever done that. In fact, I had done an assumptive thing, and I had turned people who had just said yes to the products, I had turned them into business partners without their consent. And then I continued to perpetrate that deed on them by gifting them legs and allowing them to rank up and rank up and rank up. And I did this all the way to Blue Diamond. And suddenly I realized that I had created something that I didn't like. I created a lifestyle where I couldn't take a break. I had created a lot of entitlement among people that were taking no responsibility for their business. It had hurt relationships with people. And I realized, like, that's not the right way to do it. And how awful is that? You know, like, we need to have clear expectations and clear communications with people. So I feel like you have to be able to have the conversation and let people know, like, these are some different paths. Which one do you want to take, and how fast do you want to go? What pace do you want to go? Just being clear on my conversations, which I had never ever done before. And I think it all came from inside me was this belief that I have to do everything myself. Which, you know, that probably came from some childhood. In fact, it did come from some childhood trauma where I developed this belief that it was just all on me. I had to save myself. I had to fix everything. And so I never asked for help. It was a way for me to feel safe. And so in trying to make myself safe, I made things a lot harder for myself. I hurt relationships. I blocked my team leaders who did want to grow. The ones that did want to grow, I blocked them from growing because I put my crap on them. And so once I realized that, and I learned how to have clear conversations, then I was able to actually approach people, and then I knew what I needed to do next. The first thing I needed to do was find out how serious they were. Like, I didn't want to run ahead of people and drag them kicking and screaming over the finish line, which is kind of what I'd been doing. And so Andy Goddard told me, like, you know, give them a challenge, give them something to do, give them a time limit to do it. And if they do it, then you know they've taken a step, then you take a step. That wasn't my MO. It was like, I would just go and take all the steps, and then I would turn around and see them looking at me like, what is happening? And I'd say, oh, don't worry about it. I got this. But I didn't got this anymore. I actually had a terrible car accident about a year and a half ago where I had a brain injury. And it was never more clear to me than at that time that I had to have business partners. I literally could not do my business. I couldn't go any further. And I think that was just a huge wake-up call. And that was really the time when I started to become serious about learning how to launch people's business. And so I would ask them, are you willing to sit down and have a conversation about the business? I would go over those things like why network marketing, why doTERRA, why Deanna, pretty much. And then once they were like, okay, I'm in, let's do it, I would say, good. Now I need to know, how much money do you want to make? And when do you want to make it by? So I knew their pace. I have a habit, or I've had a history in the past of, with a competition and command and all those strengths, just kind of pushing people way past where they want to go. And that never turns out well, okay? It might get you a rank, but you're not going to like yourself, and neither are the people you did it to when you get there. So I realized I had to ask them and figure out where they wanted to be. And once I knew that information, then it's like, okay, let me see if they're willing to take a step to show me they really want to do that. So the one that he taught me is really simple. And guess what? It's in the launch guide, for heaven's sakes. It's not hard. It's like right there. It says, ask them for a names list. Give them 48 hours to give you a names list. And I have learned that 100% of people who do not give me their names list of 100 people in 48 hours are not serious. So it's allowed me to not like put a bunch of effort. I used to travel like 20 hours or fly places to do classes for people who had not done any steps. I was just like, whatever, if a door opens, I'm going to run through it. If it's not open, I'm going to kick it open. And the problem with that was it wasn't getting me where I actually wanted to be. So I decided to like make them do something. Okay. And I also made a rule in my own head. And I would tell people once they said yes to the business, I'm not putting anybody under you unless you've put people under you. Like I have a lot of enrollments and I have to put them places, but I'm not going to put them places unless you're ordering 125 PV by the 15th every single month and that you are enrolling people. I'm going to put somebody under you. And I have another thing is I'm never giving enrollership. Don't ever expect me to give enrollership of any of my people to you. You can earn, I don't mind if you want to earn Power 3 and Unilevel and whatnot of people because you brought in other people and I want to work in this team. But if you want to go past elite, that's on you. Like you've got to build a team yourself because I was doing that. You have to ask yourself this question. If you gift somebody your work to go premiere, where does that end? Mm-hmm. You've done that because you wanted to go gold. What happens when you want to go platinum and diamond and you want to go blue? Like, are you literally going to gift somebody who's only built to elite? Are you going to gift them platinum? Who's running that business? Who's mentoring those people? And so you have to just make so I have a hard and fast rule that I have told them up front, they're not getting enrollerships. They've got to build their own business past elite. And has there been times when I have then gifted stuff? Yeah. Why? Because they've done a whole bunch of other stuff and they have earned that. They have earned my work that I put in. So I feel like if you have those conversations up front and you ask them to take steps along the way. So it's like, give me your names list. Okay, got your names list. Give me your calendar. What are your work hours? Do you really have work hours? Or are you just going to do this like sporadically? Because I'm not going to put 10 hours into your business if you're not willing to put in 3. I mean, that's not, if you don't have a fair and equal exchange of energy in any situation in life, there's going to be problems. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to feel like they've been taken from, and somebody's going to feel like they have more than what they can handle. And so because of that, every step of the way, it's a give and take. It's a give and take. So I get their calendar. Once I have their calendar, then it's like, we're going to do 4 events. Now I know where we can do the 4 events. And so I am willing to then go at their pace. So it's like, do you want to do 4 events in a weekend and go elite in a weekend? Do you want to do 4 events, 1 per week? Do you just want to do 4 one-to-ones because you're scared to have an event? Let me meet you where you are so I don't push you past where you want to go faster than you want to get there. And I don't have expectations. I don't want to put my expectations on people. That's ugly when it happens to you. And I've done it to people and I've had to go back and apologize. And I'll be honest, some people are not willing to hear my apology. Mm-hmm. They just feel they feel like they were like a chess piece in my game. And they didn't feel like a person. So it's got to be a partnership the whole way through. And every time something's difficult, you got to be willing to have a conversation about it and say, hold on a second, like, I'm sorry. I feel like I went faster than what you said you wanted. Let me step back. I've had to do that a lot because, you know what, if you know what your strengths are, it's going to be easier for you to recognize when you're running ramshot over someone like that. Because I didn't understand that command could come across like really scary to somebody who maybe has like empathy as one of their top strengths or connectedness. Like they can just feel like, oh my gosh. And so I had to learn to like meet people where they are, talk to them in a way they can understand and have a give and take. You know, maybe I'm better at enrolling than they are, but if they're super, super good at connecting me to people, or if they're super good at serving the people I place on their team, that could still be a good business partner for me. I don't have to have huge enrollers as business partners because I am one. So being willing to know what you're good at and finding people that fill in the holes. So I need relationship strengths big time. Like I have one in my whole top like 23 or something. I have one. So this is a relationship business for heaven's sakes, right? So I know that I need to look for people who have those. And I think, you know, God or the universe or whoever you want to give credit to did help me by giving me a lot of empathy people and a lot of harmony people. And he must have known that I was going to need that because I really do. But I think you can look for those things, you know, you can know these are things that I'm not that great at. So if I had a business partner that was good at enrolling, maybe that's a struggle for me. find somebody. And then if you have a business partner that wants to go faster than you, don't hold them back out of pride. Like, oh my gosh, they're going to pass me. Are you kidding me? I would love for someone to pass me. I would absolutely love it. And so will you if you let your ego out of the way and realize sometimes you might have to pass that person off to somebody else in your upline that has different strengths, or that is more of like a fast mover than you. These are all things like not trying to hold on to everything and keep it your own and we're holding people back when we do that. So I think it's important to understand all those things about yourself before you can, it's self-exploration is the first step. It's like, what is my deal? And then it's like, how do I learn to have conversations with people to find out what they want? Tell them, this is what I'm willing to do. This is what I'm not willing to do. What are you willing to do? And let's meet each other halfway. When you take a step, I'll take a step. And if they stop stepping towards me, guess what? Okay, I get the message. Like, they can say words. People say lots of words. They say, I want to be a builder. I want to go diamond in a year. But I look at their actions, and actions speak way louder than words. And so I don't get mad at them. I might go back and say, like, this is what we talked about. What happened? And if they say, you know what? I don't like this. I don't want to do it. I'm not going to be mad because we're having a conversation and I can say, hey, well, this is another option. What if we do this? What if we do this? I can start another leg. I can ask another person to be a builder. I mean, once you're not scared of it anymore, it doesn't become like, so that was part of the thing is like, I didn't want to start a new leg and then screw it up like I did the other ones. So I'm like, I'm not going to start my sixth leg. I don't want anybody to hate me. I don't want to ruin any more relationships. I don't want to be super tired. I don't want to be like duct taping something together, all these reasons. Once I figured out what my problem was, had a plan to fix it, guess what happened next? Guess who came into my life? The most amazing sixth leg builder. And oh my gosh, has it been fun working with her. She actually has 2 of the same top 5 strengths as me, which is none of my other leaders had that. So we really understand each other. And she's a top enroller, and she's self-motivated. She's a doctor, so she's a professional, has lots of contacts. And it's just been super fun because it's been a different experience. It's what I want for everyone listening to this. I want you to have builders that are fun to work with, and you're not like pulling out your hair and crying and you're mad at each other and this person's blocking this person on social media. I mean, for heaven's sake, who wants to live like that? Who wants to live with that kind of mess? That's why people are afraid of network marketing, that they're going to ruin their relationships. And I pretty much was doing that because I just didn't know. So it's okay to take a minute, put a pause button, and figure out, what do you need to know about yourself? Are you clear with people? Do you have a plan? Is it duplicatable? So how do you know if it's duplicatable? I mean, that's really the question, right? Like, how do you know if it's duplicatable is when you walk somebody through it, are they, my son is here. Hi, cutie. If you walk somebody through it, and you walk alongside them, I like to walk alongside people till they get to elite, okay? Because I feel like if they can go elite, they can do anything. If they are then able to turn around and go silver with what you just did, then your process is duplicatable. And so that's kind of what my measuring stick was, is I wanted to try this with a few teams first. Now that we have gotten really good at it, and by the way, that builder that I signed up, she went silver and gold in the same month. Like, she just is crazy amazing at this. She says she's going to be platinum by, I think she said by the end of March. So that's her next goal. And I believe her too. I mean, she's taken all the steps. But if you want that, then you have to test it out and make sure it's working. Like, I don't ever announce some team-wide change until I've tried it out myself. And so I tried it out privately, then I expanded it to a team, and then I introduced it to my plugged in. So hopefully you guys know the difference between your qualifiers, your builders, and your leaders. Those are all 3 totally different things. I have people who are my qualifier leaders. They qualify me at my rank. They're either a 1st or 2nd level qualifier, but they're also engaged in actively building doTERRA, okay? So I meet with those people on a regular basis, and we all came up with this process. And now this year, I have turned it over to my qualifiers, and they are teaching it to my entire team. They're launching once a month. We have a new launch, we call it Launch Your Dough Biz, and everybody can bring people to it. We help them go elite, And that's the first step is launch to elite. And we try to get them to elite in the first 30 to 60 days. That's kind of our big thing. So that is the new thing now, is to watch the fact that I have made it so clear and duplicatable that now my leaders can take that over and teach it to their teams. And that's how you know you haven't made it too hard. If you've ever read the book Beach Money by Jordan Adler, I mean, he says in there that if an 8-year-old can't do it, I'm sorry about the background noise, my son just came in. If an 8-year-old can't do it and an 8-year-old can't teach it, then don't do it and don't teach it. That's always been our philosophy. We just didn't have a plan for launching builders. Now that we do, we have kept it super simple. We've used the tools doTERRA already has given us. Like we love to use the launch guide. We love to use the build guide. And we're using simple things like we have a separate Facebook group called Launch to Elite. And in that group, we've created a unit where we literally walk them through the process of 0 to elite. They can go at their pace. They obviously still have an upline mentor of some sort that's walking them through it step by step. But what I have learned is if I can get them to do 4 events ASAP, whether it's 4 one-to-ones, 4 classes, I don't care, and get them some success under their belt, then they can see it. Mm-hmm. Whenever in the past it has taken me, more than 60 days to get somebody to elite, I feel like they believe for the rest of their journey that it has to go slow. Mm-hmm. It's like ingrained in their mind. And also from Beach Money, I learned things grow in an excited state. Well, people are excited when cool things are happening. Like you're excited about your oils when you're new to the oils and you think they can fix everything. And you're excited about the business when you've got, people enrolling, people showing up for events. So I want to give them the tools that are going to give them some success under their belt, whatever that takes to get them to be able to sit down in front of a person, tell them about the oils, and the person says yes to the oils. That is something that's powerful. Their belief just grew. So that's really what we want to do. We want to make it really easy for people to plug in. Even the people that are not in your qualifying legs, you can't save the world, right? And everybody I have to be able to run my business too. So I have of course I have, especially because of how I built my business, didn't teach people to find builders. Mm-hmm. I've got a lot of people that don't have a plugged in upline, and I cannot take all my time and be responsible for them. So what we've done is we've created this program where those people can still have access to me. We have a weekly event where me and one of my top leaders does a mentoring Zoom, and then we have that group. And then once they go elite, we move them into the next group. That's for people that want to go beyond elite. They want to earn supplemental income now, not just get their products paid for. So I think that's really, really important.
Now, can I ask a quick question? Do you, as you're launching people to elite, are you doing a lot of placements coaching with them to kind of set them up to premiere?
Yes, I have actually come up with a plan where my goal is I want them to enroll 3 customers their first week. Then I want them to the second week upgrade one of those people to a wellness advocate because that person has brought them a referral who's ready to sign up. Mm-hmm. That's when you can go to that person and say, hey, you brought a referral. I can split my fast start and give you some free oils, or would you like to make some income every time this person orders for the rest of your life? Let me tell you what that looks like. There's 2 paths here. You can either commit to ordering every month on LRP and referring people to me just like you just did, and then you can earn some income when this person's been in for 60 days, or you can do the business. If you want to commit to putting in consistent hours every week, you want to teach this person how to use their oils, you want to teach them how to do the business if they so desire, then maybe we need to have you be the enroller and I can walk alongside you and teach you what an enroller is. I think in doTERRA in the early days before we had the wholesale customer option, that was part of the reason why we had so many people enrolling people or being wellness advocates that had no intention of ever supporting that person or no intention of ever being their enroller. And I taught my team that if you shared oils with that person, you were the enroller. I feel like I did a huge disservice both to my actual builders that were trying to do this as a business and also to the person that got enrolled by somebody who had no intention of helping them in any way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so we don't believe in that anymore because we're thinking about the long term. We're looking at the end in mind now. We're not just looking at what's in front of me. So, but if you do that in your first week, if you get 3 customers, if you get one person to bring a referral to you and they upgrade, then you do it again next week. You find 3 more customers, you get 1 to upgrade, and now you've got 2 wellness advocates. You can still move them to your front line if they're not already there because they're in their first 14 days. And then it's time to ask your chicken list. Once you've got 2 wellness advocates on your front line, I feel like you got it under your belt. Now it's time for you to go and talk to your chicken list. So I don't tell them it's the chicken list, okay, because I don't want to put anything on that. But when I have them write their names list, I have them do an extra step, which is to highlight or circle 10 names of people who have character, credibility, and contacts. Mm-hmm. Like somebody that you really like, that is a really amazing, inspirational person that is well connected, people listen to them. And I say, don't share your oils with those people yet. Like circle those and we'll set them aside for now. They're not coming to your oil party, okay? Once they've got, they've upgraded 2 people to a wellness advocate, I want them to ask somebody to be a wellness advocate on purpose. That's how early I start teaching that concept. Like they're not even elite yet, okay? They're not even elite and we're talking about how to find business partners now. So the next goal is to give them what to say, to ask the person to sit down and talk with them. If they're not even elite yet, you better believe I'm gonna be on the Zoom or their upline gold is gonna be on the Zoom or the sit down meeting. And we're gonna sit down and talk to that person about what it looks like, just the same stuff we did with them. Why network marketing? Why doTERRA? Why us? And where do you see yourself? When do you see yourself? And then we launch that person too. So you're going to find business partners in 2 ways now. You're going to find them by people who bring you a friend that enrolls and they decide to upgrade and choose in to the sponsorship and or choose in to be an enroller if they so choose to actually put regular time into the business. Or the other way is you're going to actually ask people that you really admire and that you are selecting to be a business partner. They didn't just accidentally become your business partner and it is what it is. It's like, I selected you because I need somebody in my life who has this, this, and this, and I want to expand my business. I think you would be excellent for this. This could really bless your family's life too. Let's talk about it. And so I teach people how to have that conversation just enough to get them to the meeting. Once they come to the meeting, then I want them to observe how to have the meeting. So they're seeing an experienced gold, diamond, blue diamond, explaining how the business works so that they can see what it looks like to have one of those high-level conversations with somebody. I want them to learn that right away because I want this to be something that my team is really, really good at. We're not waiting until somebody is already gold and they already have premiers that aren't business builders. That's so much harder to do. It's harder to convert a premier who never built a premier to a silver than it is to convert somebody from scratch who's already chosen into the business from the beginning. So doTERRA's been around long enough and we have enough credibility and we have enough statistics to know that we can approach really sharp business people now and say, like, I know this is going to work and I know what to do to get it to work and I have a clear plan and I have a support team that's going to help us to launch this too. Even if I'm new, my gold's not new, my diamond's not new. So I feel like that has been the secret sauce, is to like teach that as a skill from the beginning.
Wow. I am just absorbing over here and taking it all in and putting the pieces together. I love this. So you've got your leaders involved. You guys are duplicating it. You're working with it. You're training them. I mean, I'm just blown away because I'm kind of at the earlier stages of this. I'm just putting the groundwork in place to want to build what you've already achieved. What do you say to those people that have been in your business for a long time who are the ones saying, I can't find any builders, who have been doing it for, several years and they grow very, very slowly. And I really, honestly, I think their belief is a big part of the issue. So, how do you work with people like that? How did you revive your team?
Exactly. And so what I've done is I had to go back and I had to be vulnerable. I sat down with my leaders and said, listen, I feel like I led you the wrong direction. I can see now that I've caused an issue on our team. It's been duplicated down because that's how this goes. And I had some hangups. And I want to apologize to you and let you know that I made the mistake. But now I want to make it my mission to fix it by becoming really good at this, and then helping you. So what we've been doing is either there were some that were ready to jump back in with me when they saw that I had built this sixth leg and that it was going really well. And then there were others that still hadn't quite bought into it. And so I was able to go down deeper in the organization. And since it was such a big organization already, I wanted to give some of those people down there a chance. So we've had to have some conversations about, either perhaps gifting me an enrollership of somebody, and that, if you don't want to go any further in your business, transferring somebody in. We've had one situation where we did transfer a different leader in. And then sometimes you just have somebody who's just incommunicado with you and they're not willing to do anything, and they're holding you up, right? So you don't get mad at them, because whose fault was it? Like, you created that with the way you did it. I have this person who has been like 2,000 away from platinum for years, and the relationship's been hurt because I did not ever ask them. The only thing I ever asked them was to host an event. I should have taken enrollership of those people that enrolled at that, because I was doing the business, and I did a disservice to everybody by not doing that. So I can't change what is. So what I've done there is I've had to go enroll I've had to approach some business partners and ask them to enroll and put them on my 4th level. Yeah, I know that I'm saying goodbye to some unilevel when I do that. But sometimes you have to start a new leg, and sometimes you don't. There's no set rule. I've heard people teach it both ways, like build a backup qualifier. Oh, never build a backup qualifier, start over. Do both. Yeah. So you are still earning really good unilevel on those first couple levels when you're starting on your 4th level. And guess what? The difference between Blue Diamond and Presidential, you got to look at that number too. How many hours is it going to take me to build 2,000 in volume to finish this person out to platinum, versus how many hours is it going to take me to build one from scratch? So your time, you have to look at how much is your hourly rate. Like, if I make this much money, let's divide that out. How many hours am I putting in? How much is that going to cost me? So you have to do a lot of, there is a lot of strategy, honestly. If you're looking at your team and you're like, I don't know what to do with this now, that's where you got to get somebody that's at the Blue and Presidential level to sit down and really hash that out with you. Come up with a strategy that fits your situation. There is no one size fits all. Once you've built it that way, you can sit around and wring your hands and wait for people to change. That's not going to happen. It's just not. So you have to take some action. And sometimes that is bringing in new people. In fact, you always should bring in new people. Sometimes so I think that bringing in and creating that new leg inspired my team. They saw that I was still doing that. I could go out and tell them, hey, go recruit a leader. But if I hadn't done it, that falls on deaf ears. I had to demonstrate that I was willing to learn something I didn't know and be scared and call my chicken list that I've never done in my entire business. I had to demonstrate all that first. If you want your team to change, you have to change. Like, I had to adapt and grow and get over myself, just like I did in the beginning when I wasn't good at something. And so I think showing vulnerability, being willing to apologize, and then demonstrate the way. Say, I'll go first, I'll do this, and then I'm going to bring you along with me if you want. If you're not willing to go along with me, there's other options, and we can talk about what those options are. But that's kind of how it has looked.
Okay. And then would you mind sharing, we're going to wrap it up here in just a few minutes, but I'd love to hear a little bit more about this monthly launch system that you put together. So I love this idea of building people to elite, and that's its own group. So what do you guys do on a monthly basis? You're having somebody schedule 4 events, obviously.
Yeah. So if I have me or one of my qualifiers or their qualifiers, if I have them launching a builder, they're sticking to that builder like glue until they're elite. So we're walking them through the process personally. If it's somebody who wants to go elite and they're like in one of these other fringe groups somewhere, they're on our 11th level and we can't give them that kind of attention, we have that launch to elite group with the units that they can just follow along at their pace. And every month we call it Third Thursday. One of my qualifiers, 1st and 2nd level qualifiers that are actually building, they present something called Launch Your Dough Biz. It broadcasts on Zoom so people can join, but it also broadcasts in the Launch to Elite group. So that can inspire somebody who's been in the group that hasn't really taken the action. Okay, this is what I do, and I'm going to take action. And if they don't have somebody mentoring them through the process, they can use that step-by-step units to walk through there. Every 1st and 4th week of the month, on Thursdays, we teach a skill. We've come up with 16 skills, from like how to, launch your businesses at the beginning. And then it's like, prepare, get your names list, get your sample bottles, whatever you need. We've walked through those steps, and every first and fourth week we have one of the leaders, one of the qualifying leaders is teaching that skill. Mm-hmm. So you can come in at any point, and even if you're already like a silver, but you don't know those skills and you can't teach those skills. And then we just repeat them. Like once we're through it takes, 8 months to go through that. So once we're done, we just rinse and repeat. And we save all of those Zooms. So we've got a short video that's like 3 to 5 minutes that teaches you the skill. Then we have a 45-minute Zoom where we role play, we answer questions about it. So you can get like a short training, or if you need more help, you can watch the Zoom. And all the Zooms are added to a unit as well. So you can go through there and you can pick up where you left off. If you're struggling with how to find business partners, there's a video on that, and there's an expanded Zoom on that. There's other tools that are in there from doTERRA. So that's kind of how we've laid it out, and we have it all laid out for the entire year, January to December, so that we know who's teaching. And the thing is I have some qualifiers in that list who still haven't kind of jumped on board yet, but they have agreed that they'll go last, like they'll be one of the last ones. And by that time, they will have learned it from their colleagues. Mm-hmm. So I feel like if we're all on the same page, that's the other thing is I polled really successful leaders who were constantly breaking diamonds and above. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know, you've been in as long as me or less time than me. Why are you breaking all these high ranks on your team? Mm-hmm. What's your secret? And the number one thing that I got back is that we're all on the same page doing this together. So when I talked to my team about that, they all agreed. They're like, we feel like there's all this disunity, like we're doing this over here and this over here, and nobody knows what to do, so they don't do anything. They're overwhelmed. So we decided that we were all going to do the same thing together. That way anybody could jump in at any point, at any time. If you enroll somebody in August, they can start at the beginning over in the launch group, and then they can come in to the other mentoring when they're at that point. Mm-hmm. So that way nobody's left out. Nobody has to wait 90 days to start over. The time to start is always now. So that's kind of what we all decided to work on together.
Wow. So how would you advise someone, because I'm sure if I'm doing this, and I'm sure other people listening are doing this, or like there's a lot of moving parts in there. So, did you just cultivate this over time? Would you be willing to share like even the titles of your 16 units that people could, just to give people an idea? I'm sure you're not going to want to add everybody who watches this Zoom to your builders group.
No.
Sure, they would love to be able to look over the fence and get a feel for what it looks like. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually a lot of stuff you can steal directly from Empowered Success. That's why it's there. They want you to take their stuff and use it and duplicate it. So I kept resisting that because I wanted to do my own thing. And then when I looked at their brochures and their stuff, it's like, it is actually exactly what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So I had to get over myself about that too. So honestly, you could put a lot of this together from that. And then as far as the short little skills videos and learning some of the cool things that I've learned how to do, like how to get referrals from people their first week, how to get them to upgrade, some of that stuff, we made special little videos about that ourselves that we, professionally recorded and whatever. And so those are actually on my husband's YouTube channel. I'm in the process of adding those to our website, but I can for sure, Joyce, I can for sure get you a link to that playlist, and anybody, they're public. We've had this process out there for a while. And it's always been free. We've never charged. We don't want to charge. We feel like anybody in doTERRA should be able to grab that information and go with it. That's just been our philosophy from forever. So we've recently updated those and made those better and more relevant, especially putting in the business partners stuff that we never had before. And I feel like those are amazing tools, and we would love for anybody to have access to them. So I'll get you that link, and I'm more than happy to share that. I don't have it like off the top of my head, but I'll grab it for you and make it available to people.
Great. So we'll put this in the show notes, guys. If you're on iTunes listening to this, you can grab that link there, or if you're on YouTube, we'll post it in the comments below the video. So that's excellent. Thank you so much, Deanna. So, it sounds like really it's about I'm just taking in your whole story here. It's about acknowledging where you are, recognizing
Yeah.
what you said, what your blocks were, and then coming up with that simple duplicatable plan and doing it. I mean, I think there are a lot of us who've been kind of sitting at different ranks for a while, and I mean, I can certainly relate of feeling like I don't really know how to help people move forward. And so
Yeah.
you know, maybe it sounds like just becoming much more intentional, and it's going to take some time, right? How much time do you feel like it took for you to kind of, from when you had these realizations, when you had that tapping moment with the going for presidential, to now we have this system in place and we're working with it? How long would you say that is?
Yeah. So leadership last year was, I went on a cruise with my upline presidential, and it was right after leadership. So leadership last year was when we did the tapping. So it took me a couple of months to deal with my internal garbage. Once I got through that, that is when I decided I needed to get my plan together. So I got my plan together, and I simultaneously, now I'm not saying this is the best idea, but maybe it is, I have Activator in my top 10. So I don't necessarily wait till I have all my ducks in a row. But I approached that person that had come into my life, who's now my sixth leg, and I said, I'm ready to do this, and I want a business partner. I want it to be you. And I just took it step by, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing in my team. I just did it. And then once I had felt like I had had a success there, I went back to my team and said, hey, this is what we're doing. I want to show it to you. Let's see how you guys feel about this as leaders. And that's kind of, so that was in leadership. I think probably when she hit silver and gold, which was what, October? Mm-hmm. She hit silver and gold in October. And by that point, my team had already kind of, I had introduced them to what we were doing, and I had helped some of them start doing it. Oh, I mean, I was actually recovering from a brain injury when I put this together. And when I approached my builder, I didn't wait until like my life was perfect though. Because I mean, I definitely still had some stuff going on in my life, but I also knew that it was the right time. Mm-hmm. I just felt like having a brain injury is a perfect time to work on some of the programming that's in your brain. I mean, it just came up naturally in the course of my healing. And but honestly, I would say it was about 6 months of me learning and trying it out on my team, and then expanding that to my qualifiers. And then once we did that, we've been putting together the last part of the year, we've been putting together this program so that we could launch it the beginning of 2019 for everyone else. So maybe 6 months of practicing it, trying it out in a small group, and then a couple of months to put it in place to be ready to expand to everyone else.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's, you know.
Do you have 30 seconds for me to enter something,
This
Joyce?
is my husband, John, and you're on a podcast right now.
On a podcast, sweet. Okay, so don't say anything crazy. Okay, so I think a big problem, because I coach a lot of people in this, and we built and developed a lot of businesses. You need to show them how to get it bite-sized. The problem is we show them all this dreaming, and it's bite-sized almost down to how many hours a week you need to do this, and then how many hours a day. And so what we've really started mastering a lot is that it takes about 4 hours to enroll somebody, follow up with them, and then play with their oils. So if you take that math to elite, okay, well, that's about 60 hours worth of work. Mm-hmm. So if you're willing to only stick 5 hours a week in, it's going to take you 11 to 12 weeks to go elite. Whereas if you're willing to do 10, it will take you 5. You see what I'm saying? Then you can also tell them, if you're willing to stick 10 hours a weekend, that's only 2 a day. So you break it down to a daily task, and then it's more bite-sized for them. So I think that was also one key step that Deanna really started being deliberate with.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, and I don't think I have it perfected. I don't think it needs to take somebody else 6 to 9 months, because, you know, I think you probably have an upline who can help, who can be in on this with you. Like if you're listening to this and you're a premier or you're a silver or even a gold, bring in some expert help, you know. I was the expert help, but I didn't know what I was doing. Remember, I didn't know what I was doing. That was my tapping. So I had to, and honestly, I don't really have an upline who, like, I've never had an upline who was ahead of me in doTERRA that I'm in their paid levels or anything. So it's always been kind of like me figuring it out. So you may have more help than you realize. Reach out to Crossline. I reached out. I had I totally stole some stuff that Jackie Ritz created to put in my units. Like she took some of the stuff from Empowered Success and put it in a Google Drive. And I was able to put that into my unit and mix in my stuff with it. So sometimes you just have to, when you're ready, the teachers and the tools will start to appear. So I think that I can shorten your journey if you learn from my mistakes. If you kind of learn from my journey, you can shorten your journey. It doesn't have to take you that long.
Wow, awesome. Well, I am just loving this so much, Deanna. You've given me a lot to think about, and I'm sure those listening on the call. Is there a way that people could reach out to you? Would you be comfortable if they found you on Facebook, if they have questions or anything like that? Do you have a Facebook page for your business?
I do have a Facebook page. It's called Oil Shares, but I think like we're in the process of, do we have all the videos up on the website? I believe our videos, the skills videos that I'm referring to, I believe those are actually up on our public website. So for now, you should be able to access those there. It's Oil Shares with an S, SHARES.org. And you're going to go to the business section, and you should be able to find those videos. So, I mean, you honestly, that's just there so that it's not reasonable for me to be able to answer everyone's questions, right? So if they're there and they're public, you can take that and run with it. You really can. If you need help along the way, I really feel like you want to reach out to your active, engaged upline who's at least gold and above and see if they can help you with it. And if you're one of those people out there, I know there are people out there who are struggling that don't necessarily have an active, engaged upline. I am one of the admins in the Premier and Silver Mastermind group on Facebook. And you can contact me in there, ask your questions in there. We do all kinds of stuff in there to support those at those ranks. So those are places where you can reach me that I have already allocated some of my time towards helping other people in doTERRA that are in cross lines. Because I think not only do I make a percentage of all the sales in doTERRA, so it is my responsibility, but I just feel like anytime when you can use what you've accomplished and what you learned in your journey to help someone else, you should take that opportunity when you can. So that's kind of how I can help, is I make the videos public, and then I do admin that group so that I can help those up and coming leaders in doTERRA as well.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much, Deanna. It's been a real treat having you on here with me. I just appreciate it so much, and I look forward to seeing you at leadership and upcoming doTERRA events.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm really honored. I appreciate it. And I hope I've helped you and your listeners in some way today.
Oh, I think you've gotten me fired up, and I'm sure you've gotten some other people fired up too. So we really appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon. Take care.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.